I'm firstly going to hand over to Isabelle Gregory. I think you'll see in the diary of our three panellists today. Thank you so much for joining, not only volunteering for Get Informed, but also sharing your experiences today. Isabelle's got some great experience around both social investment, but also in the social care and the local government and public sector experience, and was one of our earlier mentors. So I'm going to hand over to her to talk a little bit more about why she got involved and what her experience has been with her mentor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I think at core, the reason I get involved is I really care about social justice and removing inequalities, reducing inequalities. So that's kind of the fire in my belly. But perhaps more selfishly, I love helping people resolve their problems. And so this gave me a great opportunity to do that. So that was my little bit of happiness. Through friends, colleagues, experience, projects, I've long known that voluntary sector organisations who could so benefit from social investment, whether the money or the resources or the support, the organisational support, for example, very often offered on, available through websites like the Good Finance website, they don't really have the capacity or the knowledge to access all of this great knowledge. And very often the language around social investment is quite alien, particularly as we use proper nouns for ordinary words, like we have good finance, small g, small f, but then actually it's a website. We've got social finance, which is an organisation, but it's also a term. And I think it gets so complicated for voluntary sector organisations and social enterprises to understand where they are in this whole alien world. And then when they think about they want to get involved because they're told it's the only trick in town, then they find they have to pay a fortune for consultancy. So when I heard about the Get Informed campaign and found out that it was a kind of really informal way of social enterprises, voluntary sector organisations, just to find out where they are in the whole journey and then perhaps get a bit of informal advice along the way, I thought I would really love to get involved. So that's why I got involved. In terms of what I offered, obviously incredible experience, incredible knowledge, amazing stuff, but also enthusiasm. And I know the challenges, particularly around sustainability and governance and all these kind of technical issues that really matter, like spreadsheets, etc. When you're running a charity and a social enterprise, I understand from that point of view, because I'm trustee of two local charities, but also I have worked in a socially invested social enterprise. And so I understand that actually, when it comes down to it, you have to pay the money back. It's really important, your monthly management accounts. And so I can really see both sides of the what is often a gulf, to be honest. I saw my role as a critical friend, someone who'd offer an intelligent ear. But actually, when it came down to it, I think so often, if you have a problem and you go and talk to a friend, you don't actually want that friend to say, I think you need to catch the number 37 bus and present yourself at X. You actually want, while you talk to that friend, to understand yourself, what your solutions are. So I found that it was really by asking possibly quite probing questions, no, probing sounds arrogant on my part, quite impertinent questions from my mentee that that enabled her to understand her own solutions. So I wasn't telling her, she was telling herself, but kind of supported by me. So the way it worked was when I was matched to my mentee, we had a quick phone call and we thought, yeah, we really get on, so this is great. So we arranged to meet and I did my prep, which was obviously looking at the website and also looking up Company House, my golden rule before you meet anyone, obviously LinkedIn as well. And then when we met up, she discussed her challenge and we talked a bit about what she hoped to achieve from social investment. And I perhaps and she kind of knew in her heart of hearts what social investors would be looking for, particularly around risk management. So after that first incredibly helpful meeting, on both our parts really, we then agreed to meet up by Skype when we both had a bit of a chance to read up on the documentation a bit more. At the beginning of this whole process, I was a bit worried that I would be tempted to offer consultancy or advisory. And where would I draw the line? Because, of course, when you read the Big Society Capital website, it says, this is not free consultancy. And I thought, how can I stop giving it away? But actually, it was a very different relationship. And it was very much that I felt I was, in my small, tiny way, an enabler, that I was supporting her to come to her own conclusions. So as well as an intelligent ear, I think it's also sensible questions. In terms of what happened for both of us, in our first meeting, it was quite clear that my mentee was using our conversation as kind of her discovery phase. She was trying to work out whether social investment would be in any shape or form helpful for her. She had a challenge. She wanted to see how social investment would help. During that conversation, and then by the second session, she'd realised that in fact social investment would have been inappropriate for her at this point. And actually, in all honesty, she had hard operational decisions that she needed to take herself. And that whilst I didn't help her to access £300,000 from wherever, she really, I think she found having me as a sounding board, because I had nothing to do with her organisation. I just was interested in what she was doing. In fact, I was bowled over by what the organisation was delivering to very disadvantaged people with very few resources. But ultimately, she needed to support and enable and make difficult decisions of her own organisation. But I think she found it helpful, because I think it can be quite lonely if you are the chair of trustees of an organisation that needs overhaul, because you can't talk it over with your colleagues, because it just wouldn't be appropriate. So we agreed to carry on with a couple more check-in calls. I was happy to do this, partly because I wanted to see whether she would be able to make changes sufficiently that she would wish to access social investment. And also, I kind of wanted to help her, and I really enjoyed, I felt that I was offering her something that she wanted. In terms of what I learned from the experience, I mean, obviously, fantastic organisation and really interesting and heartwarming to hear about what was being delivered. But also, actually, it's really rewarding being a mentor, because the knowledge base in the general public is so low about what social investment is and what it can do and the opportunities. You can really help someone a huge way with very little time investment. So in terms of, effort and reward, it's huge. In terms of what my mentee found, she said that it was really helpful in terms of clarifying her thoughts, helping her to make her own difficult decisions. So I felt that I'd actually done something there. So that's me.
Thank you, Isabelle. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing your passion and interest. And that's pretty much summed up what the campaign was all about. That's fantastic.